My given name is Elizabeth Ann Lerman, but I go by Liz. I am the daughter of Philip Lerman and Anne Louise Levy, who met here in San Francisco during the war. I was raised in a middle-class Jewish home with a belief that art was everywhere. My mother was a modernist. I think I spent a certain amount of my growing up into art, both embracing modernism, but also starting to see its problems. I have a large embrace for the love of the gifts I was inherited, and also a huge pushback against some of what they reflected.
So my name is Brett Cook. I think of myself as an artist, educator, and healer. My parents were educators. I went to college to study zoology. I was a childhood prodigy in science. And after doing not very well in science, my parents asked me, so, what are you gonna do? And so I said, well, I think, I really like art. Maybe I'll be an artist. And my parents said, Brett, we've always loved you and supported you and said you could be whatever you want to be, but you can't be an artist, man. That doesn't make no sense. You can't be an artist. They encouraged me to be an educator since they were educators and I was good with kids. And so I had degrees in art and education. And I think that simultaneous experience and exposure, I think has been fundamental in the way that I've thought about what art should be and how it works. When I graduated from Berkeley, this young, very prolific street artist, heard about this RFP that they're going to build this new big fancy art center in downtown San Francisco. And they were going to have 3 artists actually do paintings on the walls around the construction site. And so I was one of the first 3 artists that painted that construction site around Yerba Buena. And so that was my initial relationship to it, is that when they were building it, I was painting on 3rd and Howard every day. Off and on would have opportunities to be part of programming or part of episodes. And so, my kind of relationship to Yerba Buena really spans across its existence.
It's so interesting you have this long relationship and that you were there at the beginning. Because for me, it's a matter of invitation. Although, and this is the weird part, because my family has roots in San Francisco, I always feel like I belong in the city, but that's not always the way it is when you're a touring artist and you come and you visit. This particular time, though, was an invitation. Come and be a senior fellow. And I was so happy to get the phone call. For me, at this time in my life, it was the best thing that could have happened. Since I'm currently in full-time in academia, since influencing academia is a one-by-one thing to the beautiful people who come in your path, not the institution.
I keep being distracted by talking more about the idea of the retrospective.
Yeah.
I find that in my own practice, I think so much across time in ways that aren't linear. I call it backwards design, and I think about where we're trying to go, and then what are the steps back to get to that place? And so in that way, I'm envisioning far into the future, but using history and research as the methods to construct the steps to get there. One of the things that I hope that we could convey is that art making is scaffolded by theory, and retrospectives even exist as catalysts for theoretical extrapolation. And so for me, this whole exhibition is about that. It's not a totality of our past work, because we've done even more than what's in here.
Yeah.
But it's really looking at these past experiences for what they really are, as real opportunities for understanding and real documentation of transformation.
South Africa came up in their Truth and Reconciliation Commission work with 4 definitions of truth, which they used to help communities come back together again. I've been using those 4 definitions as a way to help people reflect about their own experience. Factual truth, forensic truth, narrative truth, social truth. Those are the 4 categories. And I consider that kind of thing a way to help people realize that we can harvest our experience every single second. Sometimes by helping people see a way to do it, it starts to formulate their own practices. The one thing I would say right now, having just performed Wicked Bodies, is that the piece seems to be having a big impact on people, both intellectually, to this sense by the end that you can bring your creative self to every single thing you can. There's nothing that says you cannot do that.